Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's Devin Thomas back with another episode of Unscripted. It's been a week. I'll tell you what, it's been a long week, but it's been a good week. I can't complain. I welcome the fucking work. What can I say? I'm addicted to it at this point. Yeah, so this week was good. It was a little long for a lot of reasons. Kind of talked about it before, but life is crazy. There's just so much shit going on just outside of your creative pursuit alone, which a lot of my week was creative, but yeah, I mentioned it before. My brother's been having some medical issues, and he's been addressing them, appropriately and getting on top of it. But yeah, yesterday was a long day. Yesterday was Sunday. Today's Monday. But yeah, Sunday, around noon, he's just dude, I'm not feeling good. I need to go to the ER. So Stephen Rager had to take a big old trip all day long to the ER, and thank God all the tests came back negative. We got all the answers we were looking for as far as inquiries about his health. I'll put it like that. And I'm not trying to fucking air his, health information online. It's just, when somebody gets to that point where they're like, hey dude, I'm not sure what's wrong with me, even if it's nothing, I just need reassurance. It's important. Check in with yourself. If you're really feeling that bad, maybe it is time to take that trip. And I'm glad he did it because, sometimes the not knowing is what drives you so fucking crazy. And that's typical overthinking, what's wrong with me? You could go, I've mentioned, all WebMD on it and be like, what's wrong with me? Or talk to chat and be like, what is the diagnosis that I'm looking for? And it's no one really knows until you go and talk to a professional. And like I said, thank God he's healthy. Everything's good on that front. But, we even were taking a walk before it happened. And he was telling me, he's like, goddamn, this fucking illness or pain that I have is getting in the way of my creative life. And we both agree, we had our year planned out. We were going to shoot a movie in January. The fires happened in LA. We pivoted to make something that would be easier to make here in our region. And then, it's just, we've had some legal disputes we've been dealing with, where we're, suing someone else, and that's stressful too. So that also is time consuming, and it's not fun, but it is, business is business. And, if you feel taken advantage of, you need to address that and, always stand up for yourself, always fight the fight until you feel like there's no fight left in you. But, and this is all in between trying to do our content and shit. So yeah, it's, we were talking about how we've not hit our goals in the way we thought we were going to hit them, but everything happens for a reason. I looked at it on the positive side. We talked about it and I really thought, I was it sucks you're not well. That's obviously right. But I've started this pizza thing in the meantime. I've had time to write a lot of good scripts, do a lot of meaningful work. And if Steven could be there with me, he would be doing it, but it's just, and he is still working on shit. I'm just saying he's putting out content even feeling like this. It's not like he's not working, but he's just I wish I was at 100 fucking %. So we could have just banged through another movie or done this or done that. And you know what? You can't change what you can't change, right? A little stoic fucking vibe there. But accepting that and then taking action regardless it's all you can do, and that's what we've been talking about. And kind of we had a conversation about it, and it's, there's no one to blame. There's nothing really to say. It's he needs to focus on wellness and health. And once he's 100%, he just wants, I guess what I'm saying is he wants it. He wants his health so he can get back to work, and that's the best reason. You also appreciate how health is, when you are in good health, you miss it when you're not. And then you realize fuck, everything was so good. Any of your other problems in your life, even our other fucking disputes or crazy shit just going on in life, it is so marginalized when you're in poor health and you feel well, fuck, I just want to get back to wherever I was. Cause you start to miss that even with all the crazy shit going on in your life. So I'm very happy you got to see a doctor. He's still doing a little bit of other, shit to remedy his pain, but yeah, say a prayer for him, fucking, put the good vibes out. Let's just hope he's back soon so we can fucking make another movie and kick some more ass in this business. What else went on this week? I did do a little bit of pizza work, some R&D. I've been introducing some new things to the menu. And as far as the pizza thing goes, it's not out. I'm not how do I say this? I'm not selling pizzas. I'm literally doing research and development right now. So I've had a few friends over. We've just made some pies and just done some bullshit like that. But it's cool. I didn't think the response was going to be so positive either. And I don't mean response from my friends. I mean from broader, audience, people online, because, you kind of do these things. And like I said, I've been afforded the opportunity to have a lot of time given not only Stevie's state of wellness, but also just as much as I'd like to make a movie 24/7, which I really that's really all I want to do. I had to give myself a little bit of a break to juggle a few other things in life. And thankfully, success and working hard, it kind of teaches you there is a balance. You can do more than one thing. And I also look to other great entrepreneurs and see nobody's a one trick pony. Some people are, and they just do that one thing. But like, I want to diversify. I want to expand. And I'll get into talking about that even more. But with the pizza thing, it's just like, I have some time right now. I love doing food, and I treat pizza like art. Like, it is food, but it is also art to me. And I'm not doing it for the fucking sake of like, let's make some money. I mean, that's a part of it, sure. But like, it's really not the heart of it. Like, I have love for what I do. And, I always look at like, what would I do if I didn't do entertainment or direct? And like, you think like, well, I never thought I'd be in food, but like, I do love making food, like private chef or some shit, or just, making food for other people. I enjoy it. And this is among a few other pursuits, like if I want to just go full on like fucking money, man, I could just go hard in real estate or one of these other fields that I have a lot of knowledge about. I could go get licensed and fucking take the bar and become an attorney. I just like, I've had people say like, why don't you just do that? It's like, cause that's like not what I want to fucking do, dude. I want to be in the entertainment space. I have been paving the road and fucking brick by brick building my fucking entertainment house, if you want to call it that. And like, I'm too invested. I've gone too far. The saying like, I've come too far to come this far. That's exactly right. And like, I can see based off of just, not only audience response, but like the path I've been on, that like, obviously, I'm connecting and resonating with people to some extent, that they're wanting to connect with me right back. And I think that's very powerful, and it says more to me than a lot of other pursuits I've done. And I'm not saying like I've done music business, I've done it all. And those fucking businesses, you do connect with people in that same way. But I think the thing is, and I talked to a buddy about this, and I'll talk about him in a second, but when you find your voice and you feel individualistic and you feel like, I'm done working for someone else, I'm done fucking clocking in and having somebody else stand over me and tell me how it's going to be. And you're like, I want to fucking tell people how it's going to be, and not in like a power tripping way, but you're like, it's my life. I want to take control of it. And like, I think that's the thing I've really done in this past fucking year. And even these past couple months, like with the podcast and shit, dude, I grab life by the fucking horns and I'm like, no, I'm going to beat this bitch into fucking submission, metaphorically speaking. And that's what I've done. It's like, I'm not going to let life beat me. I'm not going to let the fucking pain and suffering and all the bullshit that makes people get knocked down. I'm not going to be the victim of it. I refuse to be the victim of it. I refuse to apologize for who I am and what I want to do. And like, it's super fucking empowering. I'll just tell you what, like, when you find the confidence within, when you finally can conquer yourself, you can conquer the fucking world. And you know what? The world doesn't mean like you're going to fucking do world domination. It just means you're going to conquer your world. It could be if you are a fucking teacher at a school and you want to be the principal, go dominate that fucking world. Go kick ass. Become the super fucking intendant, dude. Be the fucking best you can be. But yeah, I mean, for me in my life right now, I think like, just pushing forward and not being a victim of circumstances. And I don't complain. Like, I used to complain a lot. And, I do it far less now. And if I do complain, it's more of a vent at this point. Sometimes you just got to let it out and be like, fuck, like, life's getting me down. But you feel better after a vent, for sure. Especially when you're talking to somebody who you can trust, a confidant, good friend, buddy, whatever. But yeah, dude, I don't know. I've just been looking at life and I'm like, I'm not going to be a victim and I'm going to keep going forward. And that's like trying new things and not settling and creating and expanding the empire per se, right? And the pizza business is one thing of that. I don't know if you saw, Stevie also posted some stuff on Slugger. We're really pushing Slugger, and I made this clear. It's a long haul project, right? We're going to take Slugger and try and get it financed or do independent financing on our own. But that's going to be like, quote unquote, the real movie that we are going to really try and make that like a fucking, I don't want to call it a hallmark, and certainly not a hallmark in that way of films, but like maybe a calling card. Like, we want to be known for something bigger, right? And Slugger would be a movie that I think like it would be not only national, but possibly international acclaim if it was put out the right way, made the right way. And I think the character does a lot of the work for us in that respect. But yeah, like that's a movie that we want to use to scale up, not only as artists and filmmakers, but also put ourselves on a bigger stage, perhaps the world stage, in sense of like getting a movie out there, like in the same vein of like Terrifier or like Friday the 13th, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I've kind of talked about that, but yeah, when you get a movie like that out there, it definitely, it allows you to hit an audience that's kind of built in to some extent, but also reach a new audience. Like the horror community, yes, they're there, but also like Slugger could become like an iconic character within like the American cinema space, if you want to call it that. So that's something else we've been working on. But it's just one part, like I said, of like all the other shit we're doing. So I actually had a great call. I talked to one of my buddies, Anthony Reddy, and he's out in Ireland and he's doing a podcast too. You guys should go check it out. It's called Born Ready Podcast. It's really cool. He's figuring it out himself, but like, I think he's found the right, I wouldn't even call it tone, but the right version of the podcast to do. And not to say the other ones weren't good, but like, I think he, wanted to fucking find out find his, not only his voice, but find out how to use his voice the right way. And like the last one was his third, it was by far his best. And I think he's mentioned these stats, but like, I think after 3, you're in the 1% of people that do podcasts. So it's like, dude, hats off, congrats, keep fucking making them. We've talked a little bit on top of that, just about like him doing like the video element and stuff. And it's like, cool. It's like, I kind of like, I don't want to call it rhetoric, because I don't like, just being like, oh, this is the podcast rhetoric. But I kind of just, we talked about, like, we did a FaceTime, it was him, Stevie, and I, and we talked about a lot of shit, just like creative pursuit and trying to like, what are our goals, what are his, and how can we help each other? And like, it was just refreshing, because, when other people are doing something in your space and you guys can collaborate and work together, it just makes it so much better. It makes things, you feel like there's a energy and a movement behind stuff. And like, we all left on a high. We all felt great just talking about creating. And like, that's something that I think, like, I was trying to think, like, the last time I saw, Anthony, and like, I couldn't remember. I'd say probably pre-COVID, which is like, it's funny because I've had a lot of people reach out to me that I used to talk to all the time pre-COVID. Even Stevie at the hospital reached out to one of our buddies, Seth, that we haven't talked to in a while because he moved out to North Carolina. But like, you don't know when you're going to talk to somebody again or reach out. And like, I don't know. Like, I think COVID put a big roadblock in the way of a lot of my like in real life friendships, where you see people and like, I kind of said this, but like, things were just happening before COVID. And then like COVID put this big fucking roadblock into life. And then like, people weren't socializing changed, like reintegrating back to your old social shit. Like it was long enough where you're like, I kind of don't remember what I was doing before COVID. I kind of got used to this new normal. And that, I think, was really shitty, because before that it was like, I probably would have saw Anthony in LA, just like, out in Beverly Hills or some shit at a coffee shop, or a serendipitous like kind of encounter, like, and it happens all the time, especially when you're in the city. You'll just like see somebody like, what the fuck are you doing here? And that's the beauty about living in LA and just being in a city. But yeah, it was so good to reconnect and talk to somebody else who's also, hungry and on the same, like, I'd say wavelength of like, just trying to figure out, how do I like get out of like, I don't really like the word employee, but like, how do I stop being somebody else's employee and start being my own boss? And I think that's where he's at. And I think that's where a lot of us are at as well. And other creatives, like, I think that's the goal for every creative, is like, of course I got to play nice and play with other people. And there's always going to be that person above you. Sure. Maybe in life, depending on what you do, but to be the master of your own universe and be able to control your destiny per se, that's the fucking golden ticket. Like, you just want to be able to tell people no. You want to say like, no, I don't want to do that, because that's not how I want to do it. And that's not what I see for myself being the most beneficial thing. And like, I'm not going to do something just because like I've subjected myself to like a job or an environment that tells me I can't do otherwise. And it's not necessarily exactly what he said, but that's what I heard. And like, I think that's what most people want. And like, when when you're ready, you're ready. And like, that's life. You just got to figure it out and get to that point and do that thing. And like, for me, because when we were talking with him, I remember, I think like the moment I felt like, okay, I'm ready to share my voice, was not only after making the movie, because after making the movie, I felt like, yeah, fuck yeah. Like, I did what I needed to do for me. I got confidence just from completing it. This is before even releasing it in theaters. The night of the premiere, when we made Peninsula Nights and we actually went out and premiered it, I was so fucking nervous. I didn't want to be in the theater. I felt like I was going to have a fucking heart attack. I was standing outside pacing. One of my good friends, Dominic, showed up like right before the movie started. And he was like, hey, like, what's going on? Where are these people? I'm like, bro, this is like a fucking sellout. Like, I'm freaking out. And he was just like, wow, this is crazy. And then like, I think he could see like there was a fucking obvious look of like, I don't even know. I probably look like a fucking bed sheet, just white as a ghost. And he's just like, damn, like, just relax. And I'm like, okay. But anyways, everything worked out. And then at the end, they want us to do Q&A. I didn't want to do a Q&A at all. I was so like, fuck. Like, I just don't know if I can get up there and just talk to this crowd. And it was incredible, because that getting up on stage at that moment and going out and talking to a crowd about a movie that we made independently, completely alone, Stevie, Christine, and I, with some other, folks involved. I don't want to completely discredit other people's involvement. There was a lot of great actors and a lot of hands that helped come together to make this possible. And thank you all. But it was getting up on that stage and talking and seeing that the crowd, like, they wanted to hear more. There was interest. There was interest in who we were, in our voices, in how we approach cinema. And it was just magical. And, we had a lot of nights like that after the first premiere, and it was every fucking one. It was the same thing. When I got up on stage and I talked to people, there was this fucking connection. And like, I'm feeling it right now. I'm getting the fucking goosebumps talking about it. It was weird. And there was a huge like change for me as a person, and knowing that my voice could be heard in that respect, and I could go out there and talk, and people weren't just like, I didn't feel like I was just saying hot air. It felt like my points were good, and what I was saying was actually like relevant to like film and the industry. And you got to just decide at some point, do I want to be one of these voices or do I just want to just listen? And, I want to talk. I want people to hear what I have to say. And even if I'm not right, I understand that it's a lot of opinion, right? And my opinion's based solely on my experience and what I've experienced through life, and like, take it or leave it. I'm not trying to force this down anyone's throat. But that being said, that was for me when I realized that, like, hey, I have something I can attach myself to that's bigger than me, that has made an impact that'll go beyond. And it's funny. Anthony told me he also watched Peninsula Nights while he's in Ireland. He's like, yeah, like, it was weird to watch because it's like, you guys are on my fucking screen. I know you, but like, this isn't you. This is you playing a character. Like, at least for Steven and Christine, I have a cameo, shout out the Uber driver, but like my role was much more subtle versus like an actual, like, I'd say cinematic performance. Like, they're fucking acting like long master takes, really, really good, long, raw takes where they're, completely transformed into other people. They, Christine and Steven do date in real life. So like their on-screen chemistry as well. I think like even Anthony and his father, they said that it had translated into, it felt genuine. There's an authenticity to the film. And it's just weird because like when you're making a movie or you're doing any of this shit, you don't know how it's going to connect with the audience. You don't know what people are going to think. You just really don't know going into it. And to hear him say that, and like, I've had a lot of different replies or things that people have said about watching the movie. And some people are like friends and family, like, oh, wow, it's great. And then some people are like, they're giving you a little bit more where they're like, hey, it was strange to see you up there because I know you, but there's this like little disconnection of like, but this is you being someone else and this is an actual performance and like I'm buying into it. And that's a suspension of disbelief that makes a good movie good. And it's always up to the audience to decide if you like it, great. If not, I don't give a fuck. But that being said, it's always nice to hear a great compliment that actually, for me, I felt like gave me a new perspective on the film of what somebody who like is watching it for the first time would think. And yeah, it was cool. Anyways, it was great connecting with Anthony, and shout out, dude. I know you're listening. Yeah, it was cool. And I can't wait. We talked about the future too. And like, I mentioned expanding the empire, but yeah, like, this is a medium that I've always loved. I've always wanted to get into, and, knowing other friends are getting into it, we're going to try and integrate some more shows and some new ideas and get some more people talking on here. I think Unscripted will stay unscripted, but look, I wait all week to shoot this one show. I could be shooting a fucking podcast every single day. I'm just like that. I obviously have a lot to fucking say, but like, I'm just fired up, and I really believe in, hard work is going to be what makes things happen. Action is going to be what makes things happen. And I'm 100% committed to taking action. I'm ready to double down on not only media and podcasting, but also like, I cannot wait to make a movie. Obviously Slugger, like I've mentioned, is a long haul project that I think Stevie and I were going to try and produce, get it into the best hands possible. We're really trying to push for Eli Roth in the horror section. I see they're doing a lot of indies. Eli, if you are out there, brother, we are here. I loved you as the Bear Jew in Inglourious Bastards. And, that it's never too soon to say that maybe you could pick the bat up again and be Slugger. I mean, just saying, the option's always there. But anyways, what else did I work on this week? I didn't like work on it in the sense of like getting the camera out, but like I've been thinking a lot because I want to make this movie about myself low key as the podcaster, kind of like in this, environment. This like, it'd be a very meta movie, very reminiscent, like I've said, of the older 2000s mumblecore scene, in the vein of Joe Swanberg and Mark Duplass and Jay Duplass as well. Kind of in that, vein where like, I just play somebody normal and I, kind of play a version of myself, perhaps even myself in the movie, where there's a dramatization and a narrative attached to it that it's just kind of like, the modern creative journey. And I feel like the reason I'm so like, I did a lot of outlining this week. That was something I did more privately. I just kind of went on my phone. I did some outlining, did some notes, and like, I'm trying to whittle down the right version of the story. But I think the reason I want to do it is because like, not only do I feel more comfortable on camera, like I never wanted to be the guy being filmed. I just like, it's those things like, I don't like the way I look. I don't like the way I sound. Like I'm over it. Like it's fine. Like fuck it. I am who I am. I look how I look and I sound how I sound. And like, I love myself. So if that's, that's all I can do. And, and like, I'm at the point where it's like, fuck it. Like I want to try this thing out. I love, directing. It'd be a co-direct with Stevie, but I want to try this thing out and get some other people involved. And this will be a more low budget film that I know I can make. And, yeah, I don't know. That was something I really went back and I did another draft of my notes, and I'm like, how can I get this thing figured out where I can maybe shoot this in a couple weeks, just around the house, around town, and like still make a great movie. And that's like, honestly, like I'm up for the challenge. I love the idea of shooting something low budget or even like micro budget and just fuck it. Like, I'm at the point too where I'm being a little less precious with it. And I don't mean not making something good, but I mean like Peninsula Nights took a long time to make. I think I've said this before. It took 8 months to make. Dude, it was fucking arduous. It was a long fucking shoot. And like, I don't regret that at all. Everybody loved working on the movie. We all had a good time. There were stressful moments. Making a movie, like, people crash out like it's a fucking race, Like, you're going to have people melt down and break down. And I'm guilty of it myself. And like, thank you to everybody who didn't just fucking say like, fuck this guy, And I'm not saying like it was like angry or violent. It's just like, sometimes it's just a situation you just get overwhelmed, dude. And it's because so much is on the line. Like, making a movie is it's a heavy, tall order, and you want to deliver, and you want it to be perfect. And like, it was funny. I was even talking to Anthony about perfect, and like, he was talking like, do you think this is right? I'm like, dude, like, I know I say it all the time on the podcast, but like, just go and do it. Like, fuck it, man. Like, if it's not exactly how you want, you're going to change shit later. I mentioned like to him, I was like, if you go back and watch like an early Joe Rogan or an early Theo Vaughn, like, their set has changed many times, and like, it's going to continue to change. And like, that's just the nature of the beast. Like, even the set I have right here, like, I didn't think that this was going to be like, I didn't like plan for this to be the set. We were trying out different sets, and I was like, you know what? This is the one I have right now. And it's ended up working out great. And it's just like, fuck it. Like I said, don't be a victim of your like circumstances. If you want to take the opportunity and start producing something, just start doing it, And like, if I didn't start doing this, I wouldn't even be talking about an unscripted movie idea or like whatever that movie will be, this like podcast or like meta mumblecore type film. It's just, those things all come out in the wash of life when you're actually taking action and fucking moving forward, and like, shit just starts happening. And like, I think it's that Rumi quote. I posted it a few weeks ago and I mentioned it on here, but if you decide to take the path will start revealing itself to you, whatever. I know I butcher them every time, but like, it's true. And the path certainly has revealed itself. And also, through the power of communication, I've been able to connect with many people and see just, not even a temperature test. I've been able to just reconnect and see how people are feeling and talk. And just, when I was talking with Stevie and Anthony, we also talked highly about like community and how community is so important. And like, that sense of community I was talking about before 2019, before COVID, I crave it. And I feel like just even talking to him, like, wow, that's what I fucking was thinking about. That's what I've been talking about on here. That's what's been missing is like, your tribe, your people, friends that sometimes feel like more than friends, like even family. And like, I've got homies up in Canada, shout out Mike, shout out John, like, they're like family. And like, even if I haven't seen these motherfuckers in 5 years, I could show up on their doorstep tomorrow night and they'd be like, dude, what are you doing here? Come on in. And that's what I'm talking about. When you have friends that good that you can just connect with, that's community. That's the people that you want to tell an idea to. That's the people that you can trust to tell an idea to. Those are the people that you can express yourself freely and know that this might sound stupid. And I know this might be off topic, but I don't give a fuck. You're my friend. I want to tell you what the fuck's going on or what I'm thinking. And like, they're the ones that'll give you the hardest time, but they're also the ones that'll have your back and they'll let you fucking say all the dumb shit you want to say. And like, hopefully, I mean, aside from the unscripted film, that's what like, we're going to kind of move into is like, I hope we can get a little talk show or something together with just, people just talking about life or whatever. And like independent of unscripted, which would be cool, and fuck, man, the future is exciting. We talked even about LA and, like Stevie, Christina and I have been planning on maybe moving back to LA. It's been, this year's, like I said, it's been weird because there was fires. There was all this shit going on. There was the fucking riots in LA, which, I think were a little overblown, but still, like, a lot of shit was going on down there. And then on top of that, we had fucking his body pain and shit. And I've had my other shit going on. Like, we've been fighting this legal battle, which I won't get into it, but like, that's been a major, like, I won't call it a headache, but it's just always energy draining. There's just stress from having to do stuff like that. And we got our arms around it. But besides the point, like when you're doing all this stuff, like you wish you could work faster. I wish I could just move to LA tomorrow, right? And get a fucking apartment or a house and just start, fucking chilling. But like, it's got to be the right time. And with anything, it's the right time. And I know that where I'm best resourced is honestly back here home in Monterey County. Like, I've got a lot of resources to make another movie and plan to make Slugger and do this and do that. And like, that's kind of like, that's where I'm at. But like, regardless, it's good to tap in with the community. It's good to, talk to old friends. It's good to just connect. And like, I feel like that's been the theme of my life these last few weeks, particularly maybe the last 2 months, is like the podcast has allowed me to just reconnect with so many fucking people. And I think that's the beauty of it. And I'm really excited. That's all. What else did I do this week? Aside from planning for some creative shit, a lot of pizza, a lot of that. I did watch a few movies this week. I'm trying to think. Okay. So we watched one more Lindsay Lohan movie this week. We watched Herbie Fully Loaded, which was pretty fucking good. Like, I remember when it came out as a kid, I think it was '06. I think it was at the age where I'm kind of like, fuck Herbie. I'd like watch the old ones, but like, it wasn't jumping off the page to me. I did see it, but like, I don't know. I think it was a different time, right? You know, I was going to summer camps and shit, and I was kind of like, I don't really care about Herbie right now. And Lindsay's cool, but like, this wasn't the movie that I was like, I fucking love Lindsay and Herbie. And I know I talked about Lindsay last week, so I'll keep it somewhat short. But Herbie was good. A lot of faces: Justin Long, Matt Dillon, obviously Lindsay, Michael Keaton. Like the cast was stellar. Cheryl Hines was in it. You didn't think RFK Jr.'s fucking wife was going to pop up, let alone Larry David's wife. But besides the point, it was really fucking good. Like, honestly, better than I remembered. And the whole time we were watching it, and this is kind of the theme of the other movies I watched this week, I've been throwing on oldies. So like Herbie we watched, and like Christine, Stevie, and I were just like, fuck, they really just don't make them like they used to. Like this movie, and I said this last week too, but like, although there was children actors or teen actors or younger actors, they never compromised the film by making it just for kids. They're like, hey, we know Herbie, we know the flavor, we know the vibe Herbie wants. It's a little playful. There's some mysticism in there. It's a fucking car that is animate. It's obviously fantasy, but the way it was done was so good. The script was so good, and the movie was so good. It well directed, everything. I can't say enough good about Herbie Fully Loaded. If you haven't seen it in a while, I think it's on Disney Plus. Go revisit it. It was a great fucking movie. But besides the point, you know, when you start seeing a pattern that, hey, these movies from the 2000s were really good, because the other movie we watched was Like Mike, which I'll get into in a second. But like, there was a correlation between these films. Like Mike, also made for children with children actors. Maybe, let me reinstate that. Maybe not made for children, but another movie that had children, shot like a movie that adults could watch too. Because we were watching it, you know, I'm 32. These other folks are like in their late 20s, 30s. We all watched it. And we're like, fuck, it's just really good. So there was some magic in the filmmaking in the 2000s, regardless of it being for children or not. I can make this reference even to like Jumanji. Like, there's children actors in it, but it's fucking a Robin Williams movie. You know, it's not made just for kids. There is context in there for kids. But besides the point, when you watch a movie even like Mike, and it just like, it was a banger. It hit hard. You put these, okay, I'll say this. We put on a movie from the 2000s, and like the first thing Christine says is like, fuck, like it's gonna be good. I'm going to spend 2 hours sitting here, even though it's 11 o'clock at night, because you put this on. Like, damn you, Devin Thomas. And it's funny because that's like what we got when we were watching it. We all said the same shit. Like, these movies are so fucking good. I don't care that Like Mike is about little Bow Wow finding a magical pair of Michael Jordan's old sneakers, getting electrocuted, and being able to harness the power of these shoes. Because the suspension of disbelief is very plausible because the movie's so well made. And also the movie had a stacked cast. I say this all the time about modern movies, but like, even for minor characters in this film, like for like the guy who owned the franchise, I guess the LA Knights, they had Eugene Levy. Eugene Levy led like Schitt's Creek. He is Jim's dad from American Pie. This motherfucker is an icon. He was just a minor character. Nowadays, I hate to say it, the minor character roles are reduced to either an unknown or like somebody they're trying out, maybe an influencer. And it kind of, I think that's a shitty thing about modern movies. And this is just a personal gripe. I wish that they just always wanted to like stack the cast. Like, no matter if it was even a small role, it's like, put a face in there, because you're going to be like, oh shit, I can't believe he's in it. I can't believe, you know, like the guy who owned the orphanage was Crispin Glover. I can't believe fucking Crispin Glover's in this. Like, you just, there's a sense of like, oh, there's some stars in here. It's going to be good. I'm going to know every face. There's going to be something to connect with, either nostalgically or even just like face value. You know, I hate to say it, like something they told us all the time at film school, and I've heard this old adage throughout the years, is that, you know, people go to the theater for the actors. They want to see faces they know. And that's very, very fucking true. Because like, if you're not a film geek or nerd or cinephile like me, you're not going to give a fuck that Gareth Edwards directed Jurassic World Rebirth. You're just going to be like, I just want to see Jurassic World Rebirth. Is it good? Do I know people in it? Oh, Scarlett Johansson's in it? Great. I can't wait. You know, I mean, this is fucking broad strokes, but you know, the stars sell it. And for the masses and the general audience, that's truly like, it's a big reason people go. And I'm guilty of it too. I don't go see Top Gun because Miles Teller's in it. I go see it because fucking Tom Cruise is the anchor, you know, or, you know, Glenn Powell, he's great, but like, he isn't Tom Cruise. And look, everyone's on their way. Everyone's on their journey. I'm not trying to insult anybody. I'm just saying, like, that's the facts. Like, people go for the faces oftentimes. And yeah, you know, but anyways, those were like the two big movies I watched this week. I'm trying to think of anything else I watched. No, I feel like I explored a little TV this week. I finished Succession, which if you want to message me about Succession and talk, let's do it. I don't want to spoil it on here because I know some of my listeners in the household are going to get upset that I fucking watched it all without them, even though we were trying to watch it as a community show. But yeah, you know, can't say enough good about Succession. I guess I won't really dive into it now, but yeah, I guess the theme of this week was really reconnection. You know, not being afraid to try new things. I've done a lot of new things this week. Not being afraid to fail. You know, even with the pizza thing, I kind of did like a mock kitchen thing where I try to like run through like how would we do it if we were busy, and like we have a lot of work to do, quite frankly. And I think like maybe we got to draw back some of the time frames we're going to be open and how we actually do our ordering and stuff. But like this is like, once again, this is all like the failure that leads to experience that's going to get me to the truth I'm seeking and like what I need to know about whatever endeavor I'm doing, whether it's pizza, the movie, etc., etc. I guess one last note I'll talk about on here is like, I think this week was also like, it's just good to focus on your health. You know, I know Stevie's been down, but like, even for me, I've been just walking so aggressively, and like, it's just, once again, it's all action. You just say like, hey, I gotta go out and walk. I gotta do this. You know what? I have time now. Let's take another walk. Let's just stay fucking fit. Let's stay focused, and let's just stay healthy. And like, that's been a big thing. It's just health, wellness. I'd say wealth, but honestly, like wealth's been back in the mind in comparison. I have been focused on, like I said, expanding the empire. I ordered some new gear. It's funny. I ordered this like Tascam interface to do like a multi-person pod, because I think that's really what, like, I got a fat high after talking to my buddy Anthony with Stevie, and like, I was like, you know what? Like, yeah, if we're going to do this, I don't like wasting time. So if we're going to do it, let's just fucking do it. I'm going to buy some extra equipment. What's the worst that can happen? We fucking make another pod and it does well, and then we start getting out there even more, and we start, having our voices heard in another way. We cross-pollinate audiences. I know it sounds like inside baseball, but like, it's really the vision right now. And if you've gotten this far into listening to the fucking podcast, like, yeah, I think that, I'm at a place where like, I know how to, collaborate and play with others and play fair. And it's not to say like, I've ever been playing dirty, but like, I get it. Like, and you're in that adult mindset and you're like, the high tides raise all ships thing. I know I say it all the time, but like, it's true. If we all work together and try and do something great, great things will happen. And the most important thing to do all this shit is to take fucking action. I don't know if you guys ever saw that show Super Pumped. It had Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and I think I mentioned it on here before, but yeah, Super Pumped. If you've never seen it, it's got Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I don't remember his name, but the guy who played the FBI agent and fucking Wolf. I'm sorry, I think your name's something Chandler. And yeah, anyways, this fucking show is about Uber, like how Uber started and how the Travis Kalanick guy started Uber, and like this guy Chandler, that's what I'm going to call him. His character plays this guy named Bill Gurley, and Bill Gurley kind of tells Kalanick, because he's so worried about spending money and his burn rate and expanding Uber, and he says, look, grow or die. If you can't fucking grow, your company's going to die. And like, that's anything in life. Like, if you can't grow personally, you can't grow mentally, physically, emotionally, all these things, get more emotionally intelligent, just level up. You're not going to die literally, but the metaphorical death is that, you're going to feel like was that Burkowski quote or whatever, or maybe it's Twain, like most men die at 27. We just bury them at like 70. Fuck, man, like grow or die. And I think that's a perfect way to end this podcast. Grow or die. Get out there, take some action, go kick some ass, and go fucking, make your dream come true. My name's Devin Thomas, and this is another episode of Unscripted. I'll talk to you guys next week, and I look fucking forward to it. All right, peace.